evils, the things that thrive off darkness, and using a gaslight as opposed to an authentic light. I'd like to explain a bit about camera lensing and the shutters. With the classical cameras, they would have a closure where they would all come together and close, and the center of it would be poking outwards as if it were an ancient calling for stretching outwards and gathering light. This gathering light is new data, one of which is a collection that is the storage unit of a sequence in machine learning. The prominence of power cannot be overstated. Where I was called and checked in to see where I was, and I felt like it was a chaperone and I was at a school dance. And it's so odd because in the land of the free, if there's barriers that you don't know if you're crossing them until they meet you to seek you out, that's really scary. Shout out to Wagons of the Oregon Trail. This is the new Arrow one. In life existence, you have to know what's preoccupied and what's being utilized as subliminal from preoccupied from a position of power. In layman's term, this is what a president has underneath him, which should be above you. But then when other countries' presidents are also above you, but below your own president, if you live in the United States, you get a whole nother dimension where the people below the president are able to utilize that space. What this could look like is in dynamics of a third wheel, even though there's only two. When you're pushing the gaslight, you can have like the tiny net underneath a upside down cup that's draining and drying, and usually you have like a stick and then a circle on top of the stick, and you would put that inside the cup and let it drain because it would be hovering. But if you have a net underneath it, it's gonna allow for a tiny gap, but the smaller the net, it's gonna be more and more small, where you can't see that there's a tiny gap for air getting inside of it, but it is, and this is what a gaslight is. And so I'm working on constructing like a cuckoo clock that submerges origami underwater, and so when it is getting pruned or soggy, that opens up and it's apparently a snow globe. So it's a three function duality wherein there's no two ways about it, but then the no two ways about it is when you're putting two and two together. And this is capitalized only if done right, because there is a massive influx of darkness that thrives off of darkness. But the more that you miscomprehend the amount of duality that's working for you, you're always going to be undermined by the binary algorithmic frequency. And that's why we're all a codec digital imprint on the galaxy. If you don't think that's true, I don't blame you, because it's a stretch. But in an atheist handbook, what would happen after you go into a grave is a thermodynamic oddity where you're not soil, even though your casket might get soiled from an embalming that wasn't done right. How many embalmings were messed up and no one cared to check, because who wants to check an embalmer? The coroner. Look at the diodes here. This is a fantastic picture frame because it capitalizes the imprint. Computers, because they're If I had a bucket list, I'd do a tea time on a curtain call. And what that would mean is something as though a curtain call is making a flashing of a lens at a shutter rate. If you're going in slow motion, you're going to be going with a high shutter speed. What this means in a curtain call, if you're having the tee off, it's the entire performance in one fell swoop. And as fantastic as that could be, it's able to get utilized if you do it right. So what I just laid out is two systems, one as old as time that can be utilized by anyone with a camera, and it's to achieve what a supercomputer would do in machine learning, that of which is 10 times more, 10 times less scandalous than having a person of the government, social worker, call you and check in if you've been in any dangerous places. Though it's the same thing, it's just done a lot more intricately by honoring classical devices with new era sequences. And so I'm enamored with glow sticks. They're kind of like Molotov cocktails. And it's really like a gaslight. And a gaslight is something where it's futuristic if you're in the Oregon Trail, but it can be explained for the most extravagant sequences done in machine learning and AI. A tidbit for my 2 cents, and here's a bit of physics. A conical momentum is different than the momentum of a classical physics. The classical physics, the momentum is based off impulse with how much it takes for the motion to slow of a physical object. The conical momentum is, I don't know why it's different, but supposedly there's more than one momentum. Conical would be the second one. As opposed to like the conic section is I don't know if it's directly related to conical momentum, because I just found out what a conical moment, but it reminded me eerily of a tychon. A tychon is a particle that's hypothetical and is supposedly traveling quicker than the speed of light. The only way to measure that is to see what is in front of this particle of light. And if that particle, the tychon, is in front of it, well, then it would be going faster than it. But who knows what is in front of a photon at any given point in time, because it's moving at the speed of light. In quantum electrodynamics, Richard Feynman from New Jersey, Princeton, that's where I was born, was handling this quantum electrodynamic with the ability to measure in-between states. In-between states is a fantastic point of view because it handles how everything occurs. Matter made up of atoms attracting a photon of light, that which we were talking earlier. It is a spectacular feat where zigzags would interlude the photon into the atomic structure. Within that zigzag ranges, you would find the particular tychon. If it were existing, that would be one place of allocating it. Why is that important? Is because when bad things feed off of bad things, and then you don't know the difference of a good thing thriving off of a bad or a good thing, because God shines light on everyone and you can't be jealous of that. That's one problem. But reading how like humans with the observer effect, there's a lot more to it than animals. The animals have like low frequency observer effects, and then humans have more spectacular observer effects when collapsing light into the matter. That's the whole quantum electrodynamic feature of the attribute. But the most important part is that all diseases are from animals, and so when you have the observer effect of humans being that different, it is impressively important to note that evil cannot interlude as the effect of the in-between state would suggest, the human species being more superior.